Politicians in Washington are looking for ways to raise money to cut the federal deficit. And that could mean limiting some tax deductions, including the deduction for charitable contributions.
Not everyone thinks that's a good idea, and some leaders from charitable groups told Congress how it could hurt poor and needy Americans. Paul Strand has the story from Capitol Hill.
President Obama keeps proposing limits on the charitable deduction, selling it as one way to cut off a tax break for the rich. But these dozens of people come to testify on Capitol Hill say the only cutting off will be of charity to folks who desperately need it.
Feeding hungry children, eradicating disease, building cancer centers, these aren't loopholes for the rich. These are solutions for our community.
Council on Foundations President Kevin Murphy spoke of how charitable giving by the wealthy McGlynn family in his hometown has had a direct impact on him and his twin 17-year-old sons.
They are the beneficiaries of the McGlynn's generosity in establishing the Cancer Center because their mother, my wife, is still alive 7 years after having been diagnosed with cancer and treated at the McGlynn Regional Cancer Center. Cancer survivors and their families are the beneficiaries of the charitable deduction.
Some 30 to 40 million Americans use the deduction, many of them far from wealthy. And research shows many will cut their giving to charities if the deduction's cut.
It's really not a tax on the wealthy. It's as much as a transfer to government of the money that would have gone to nonprofit organizations.
In a nation that gives some $300 billion every year, cuts could have a devastating effect.
Estimates are that the reduction in charitable giving could be anywhere from $5.5 to $6 billion a year just by capping the charitable deduction alone.
Brian Gallagher estimates the cost to his United Way nationwide.
$100 million. That's like wiping out the United Ways in Philadelphia and in Cleveland.
Vincent Ferris with Meals on Wheels says charities like his can keep seniors and shut-ins healthier much longer, reducing costs to government programs like Medicare and Medicaid.
People that are getting good nutrition, well-fed, the chances of them being admitted to the hospital through emergency room and what have you are going to be greatly reduced. We know that we can feed a person for a year on Meals on Wheels and what it costs a day in a hospital.
But some in government figure the charitable deduction costs Washington $38 billion a year, and they're greedy to get some of it. Paul Strand, CBN News, Washington.
From my point of view, that's $38 billion well spent because it's taken into the private sector. Innovation takes over, and you release people to do acts of charity that would otherwise not be available. That develops our communities, that develops our nation. I hope we keep it. Well, President Obama thinks the government should be more involved in educating young children. Lee Webb has that story from the CBN Newsroom. Lee?
Gordon, the president has unveiled a proposal to provide universal preschool for children in America. But can he sell his plan to skeptical Republican lawmakers? George Thomas has that story.
The White House plan calls for the government to partner with states to provide preschool funding for all 4-year-olds in America from low and moderate income families.
Education has to start at the earliest possible age, and that's what you have realized here in Decatur.
Mr. Obama made the pitch for his plan during a visit to a preschool in Georgia. As part of the initiative, the president also wants to expand the Head Start program to include toddlers and infants.
Study after study shows that the earlier a child begins learning, the better he or she does down the road. But here's the thing, we are not doing enough to give all of our kids that chance.
The education proposal doesn't have a price tag yet, but the plan would be funded with federal matching dollars for families who earn at or below 200% of the poverty line. States that expand preschool slots for middle-class families will also get extra government money. But critics of the plan say states or private programs could spend the money and run the preschool programs more efficiently than the federal government. Meanwhile, Republican lawmakers are uneasy about an expanded federal role in pre-K. The president's plan will require congressional approval. George Thomas, CBN News.
A leading Christian author and speaker believes the problem goes far beyond the price tag of a universal pre-K program. I recently spoke to Dr. R.C. Sproul Jr. He believes that as long as Christians continue to give their children to be trained by the state, we will continue to have a culture that worships the state.
That's my conviction that education is always and everywhere religious. And it's not a surprise that when 80% of evangelical parents have their children in the government's schools, that they're going to embrace the religion of the government, which is the worship of the state.
Sproul disagrees with the notion that our public schools are failing. He says they're doing exactly what they're designed to do. That's why he believes Christians should not have their kids in government schools. A noted pastor says any organization that sees evangelism as a priority should not take government money. Rick Warren told Washington reporters he's refused millions of dollars the Obama and Bush administrations offered in support of his ministry's global relief efforts. He turned it down, he says, because he won't let aid restrictions stop him from telling people about Jesus Christ. He also pointed out many foreign nations now reject U.S. aid that's conditional on their acceptance of abortion or gay rights. Warren says officials in dozens of countries have told him their values aren't for sale. A meteorite burst through the atmosphere over Russia today, injuring hundreds of people. It happened in Siberia and was captured on video. And it came on the same day a big asteroid is hurtling through space, about to miss planet Earth by about an inch. In cosmic terms, just 17,000 miles. Here's CBN reporter Mark Martin.
Check out this incredible video. Car dashboard cameras and phones captured video of the meteorite, a blinding flash of light streaking across the sky, and then chaos as fragments slammed into the ground. Witnesses say they thought a war had broken out. The meteorite shattered windows and damaged buildings. It knocked down a wall at this zinc factory. The Russian government confirms more than 400 people were injured, mostly from broken glass. The Russian Academy of Sciences estimates the meteorite weighed about 10 tons and entered the Earth's atmosphere at a speed of at least 33,000 miles per hour. Scientists say the meteorite was not related to an asteroid that will fly dangerously close to Earth today. A chunk of space rock big enough to level a city is hurtling towards our planet 8 times faster than a speeding bullet. Scientists say the asteroid will zoom past Earth at over 17,000 miles per hour and only 17,000 miles from Earth. The 130,000 metric ton asteroid called DA-14 is the size of half a football field, and it will be much closer than the moon. It will travel between Earth and the roughly 600 satellites around us, possibly even smashing one to bits on its way by. In 1908, an asteroid blew up over the middle of Siberia, decimating 1,000 miles of trees, but fortunately did not kill anyone.
I think the big story is that we saw this a year ahead of time. So we're in an era now that we have good enough observatories, we have observing programs that can actually see asteroids that might hit the Earth long before they approach.
The asteroid is too dim to see with the naked eye, so scientists will use ground-based telescopes to observe DA-14. Mark Martin, CBN News.
Incredible. Well, Senate Republicans blocked a vote to confirm Chuck Hagel as Secretary of Defense last night. Democrats say it's the first time a nominee has been filibustered. Republicans, though, argue that they're seeking more information from Hagel, and they're still concerned about Hagel's past statements on Iran and Israel, among other issues. Congress is calling on Secretary of State John Kerry to work for the immediate release of an American pastor imprisoned in Iran. Pastor Saeed Abedini is facing a lengthy prison sentence there because of his Christian faith. More than 80 members from both parties have sent a letter urging Kerry to exhaust every option. It states Pastor Abedini deserves every diplomatic tool in defense of his basic human rights as an American citizen. Jordan Sekulow of the American Center for Law and Justice calls the effort significant in protecting a U.S. citizen from incredible torture and life-threatening punishment. Well, the government is taking a major step toward opening the skies across America to drones for everything from law enforcement to business. The Federal Aviation Administration wants states to submit proposals to create 6 drone test sites around the country. Police would be among those that would fly them, also power companies that want to monitor transmission lines, and even farmers that want to watch their fields. But privacy advocates worry the government use of drones will lead to a surveillance society where Americans are constantly monitored and recorded by authorities. Gordon, what do you think?
Well, I'm one of those that's concerned about it, particularly if the government starts on a regular basis having drone flights over our cities, our residential areas. It literally allows them to record every single movement that people make. From a crime-fighting standpoint, it would be a good thing, but from a privacy standpoint and from a society where Big Brother is literally watching everything you do, I think it's a very bad thing.
Illinois is closer to becoming the 10th state to legalize gay marriage. The state Senate voted to approve a same-sex marriage bill. The measure now moves to the Illinois House, which is more divided on the issue, but the governor says he will sign a gay marriage bill. Operation Blessing's micro-enterprise program helped one family do more than just start a successful business. An 11-year-old Honduran girl named Linda was left without a caretaker when her grandfather died. Operation Blessing found out about Linda's situation. They discovered she had a cousin, Myrna, who was helped by the micro-enterprise program. Because of that, Myrna was able to adopt Linda. Operation Blessing helped provide the family with medical support, clothes, supplies, and food. And Operation Blessing's children's program gave Linda a full scholarship to attend school. You can find out more about Operation Blessing by going to its website, ob.org.